Michael Adeyemi sat on the veranda of his home in Ikeja, Lagos, staring into the dimly lit compound. The evening breeze carried the distant sound of honking danfos and street vendors calling out their wares. It had been 2 years since he lost his wife Funke, yet the pain still clung to him like a heavy garment. Every corner of the house bore her memories, her laughter, her scent, the warmth she brought into their home. Without her, the house felt cold, empty, like a structure devoid of life. His daughters, Tenny and Dara, were the only light in his life now. At 16 and 14, they had handled their mother's death with more strength than he thought possible, but he saw through their brave faces. He saw the loneliness in Tenny's quiet moments and the sadness in Dara's eyes when she thought no one was watching. He had promised himself that he would give them the best life possible, but how could he when he himself was lost? Baba Tenny, you too dey think oh. His long-time friend and neighbor Chike called out as he approached the veranda, balancing 2 bottles of Gouda. Make we yarn small na. Michael chuckled, shaking his head. Chike, I don't tell you say I no wan drink. Na so you go talk, but na you still go collect am, Chike insisted, dropping into the chair beside him. See you don reach 2 years wey Funke waka o. You go dey like this forever. Michael exhaled. I no fit move on, Chike. I no even want think am. You gats think am o. Na woman fit complete your life like this. Even the girls go need another mother figure. Michael shook his head. Nobody fit take Funke place. Chike sighed, taking a sip from his bottle. I hear. But one day, you go see person wey go change your mind. Michael smiled weakly. He highly doubted that, but fate had its own plans. The following weekend, Michael took the girls to a supermarket in Surulere for shopping. It had become a tradition for them to do their weekly shopping together. As he pushed the trolley down the aisle, Dara suddenly tugged at his arm. Daddy, look. That woman dropped her purse, she whispered, pointing to a lady ahead of them. Michael looked up just in time to see the woman, a tall, elegant lady in a blue Ankara gown, walking away, unaware that she had dropped her purse. Without thinking, he hurried forward, picked it up and called out, excuse me, madam, you dropped this." The woman turned, her eyes widening as she saw the purse in his hand. "Oh my God, thank you so much." She smiled warmly, taking it from him. "I didn't even notice." Michael nodded, offering a polite smile. "No problem, ma'am. Just glad I could help." She glanced at him briefly before shifting her gaze to Tenny and Dara, who stood beside him. "Are these your daughters?" "Yes, they are. Tenny and Dara." Michael introduced them, and the girls waved shyly. The woman smiled. "Beautiful girls. I'm Remy. It's nice to meet you all." Michael stayed longer than he intended. There was something warm and familiar about Remy's presence, something that made him feel at ease. But he quickly dismissed the thought. He wasn't ready for anything more than just a brief interaction. Yet, as they parted ways, he couldn't shake the feeling that this wouldn't be the last time he would see her. Days turned into weeks, and Michael had almost forgotten about the brief encounter at the supermarket. He went about his routine: work, taking care of his girls, and spending time with Chike when he needed company. Life had settled into a familiar rhythm until one fateful evening. Tenny had a school debate competition, and Michael, always the supportive father, ensured he was present. The event was held at a prestigious secondary school in Victoria Island. As he walked into the hall, taking a seat amongst other parents, his eyes caught a sight of someone familiar: Remy. She was sitting a few rows ahead, elegantly dressed in a fitted coral-colored blouse and black trousers. She appeared engaged in a conversation with another woman, her laughter soft but strident. Michael hesitated for a moment before focusing on the event. As the debate progressed, he kept on staring occasionally. When the competition ended and the audience began dispersing, their eyes met quickly. Remy smiled, walking towards him. Well, this is a surprise, she said, her tone warm. I didn't expect to see you here. Michael chuckled lightly. Neither did I. My daughter Tenny was part of the competition. Oh, that's wonderful. My nephew was one of the participants too, she explained. Small world, isn't it? Michael nodded, feeling an unusual ease in her presence. It really is. Would you like to grab a cup of coffee with me? The words fell out of his mouth before he could process them. Remy tilted her head slightly, considering before giving him a knowing smile. Yes, I would love that. As they walked towards the exit, Michael couldn't help but wonder what just happened. Was fate playing his hand again? Michael and Remy found a quiet cafe not too far from the school, a cozy spot with dim lighting and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. They settled into their seats, each with a cup of coffee in front of them. So Michael, Remy began, stirring her coffee slowly. Tell me about yourself, apart from being a great dad, of course. Michael chuckled. Well, I work in finance. I love football. And these days, my biggest job is making sure my daughters are happy. Remy smiled. That's beautiful. I can see how much they mean to you. They do. Losing their mother was hard on all of us, but they are my priority. Remy nodded, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. I lost my fiancé 3 years ago, she quietly admitted. It took me a long time to even consider being open to something new. Michael looked at her with newfound understanding. Then we both know what loss feels like. She exhaled softly. Yes, we do. But maybe, just maybe, life is giving us another chance at happiness. Michael smiled at her words. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was time to embrace something new. Michael kept on thinking about Remy more than he thought to do. Their conversations had been easy, flowing naturally as if they had known each other over the years. It had been so long since he connected with anyone this way. But was he ready? The question lingered on his mind. Chike noticed the change in him almost immediately. Baba Tenny, he dey shine teeth these days oh. He teased as they sat outside his house one evening. Now who be the woman wey fit make you smile like this, Joe? Michael sighed. Her name is Remy. We've been talking nothing serious. Chike laughed heartily. You dey start like play, you go turn serious. You no go know when you go start to dey call am every day. Michael shook his head, but deep down, he knew Chike wasn't entirely wrong. That weekend, he decided to do something unexpected. He invited Remy over for dinner at his house. He was shocked at his bold move. When he told his daughters, they were surprised. You are inviting a woman over? Tenny asked, arching an eyebrow. Michael smiled. Yes, I want you both to meet her properly. Dara exchanged glances with Tenny before agreeing. Okay, Daddy, if she makes you happy, we are open to meeting her. Their words warmed his heart. Maybe, just maybe, this could work. The evening of the dinner, Michael found himself smiling nervously. He had cooked a simple meal, jollof rice, grilled chicken and fried plantains, hoping to make a good impression. Tenny and Dara had helped set the table, and now all they waited for was Remy's arrival. When the doorbell rang, Michael's heart skipped a beat. He took a deep breath before opening it. Remy stood there, dressed in a simple but elegant peach-colored gown, holding a bottle of wine. You look beautiful, Michael said, before stepping aside to let her in. She smiled. And you cooked. Impressive. I try, he chuckled. Tenny and Dara greeted her politely, and as they settled at the table, conversations flowed easily. Remy asked about the girls' school, their interests, and even shared a funny childhood story of her own. It was effortless. Michael couldn't help but feel hopeful. But as the evening went on, he noticed something, a flicker of something unreadable in Remy's eyes. Whenever he laughed with his daughters, whenever he reached out to ruffle Dara's hair or playfully teased Tenny, he brushed it off, convincing himself that he was imagining things. In the following weeks, Remy became a frequent guest at their home. She would stop by after work, sometimes bringing snacks or helping the girls with their schoolwork. On the surface, everything seemed perfect, but beneath it, something was shifting. Dara was the first person to notice. "Daddy, does Remy like us?" she asked one evening as they cleared the dinner table. Michael frowned. "Of course she does. Why do you ask?" Dara hesitated. "Sometimes I don't feel like she does. She acts nice, but there's something about the way she looks at us when you're not paying attention." Michael sighed. "Sweetheart, it's probably just new for her. Give her some time, okay?" Dara nodded slowly, but she wasn't convinced. And soon, Tenny started noticing it too. Remy would make sighs whenever Michael went out of his way to do something for the girls. She would make little comments, subtle but sharp. "You spoil them too much, Michael," she once said when he surprised Dara with a new book she had been wanting. Michael had laughed it off. "They are my daughters. I want them to have the best." But Remy's smile didn't reach her eyes. And as time passed, the warmth she once displayed towards the girls began to fade. Michael didn't immediately see the shift in Remy's behavior, but his daughters did. One evening, Tenny and Dara were in the kitchen washing plates when Remy walked in. "You girls should finish up quickly," she said, her tone sharper than usual. "Your father and I need some time alone." Tenny exchanged a look with Dara. "But we always stay up to watch TV with Daddy," she said. Remy frowned. "That was before. Things are different now." Dara felt a lump form in her throat. "But Daddy said, enough!" Remy snapped, lowering her voice. "You girls need to understand your father is not just your father. He is a man who deserves happiness too." Tenny swallowed hard. "We know that." "Then act like it," Remy muttered before walking out. That night, the girls told Michael what had happened, but he brushed it off, not wanting to believe that Remy could be unkind to them. "Maybe she was just having a bad day," he said. Dara looked at him disappointed. "You only say that, Daddy. But what if it's more than that?" Michael sighed, pulling them into a hug. "I'll talk to her, okay?" But deep down, he wasn't sure what to believe or what to even talk about with Remy. Michael sat in his study later that night, staring at the framed photo of his late wife on his desk. He traced her face with his fingers, a deep sigh escaping his lip. He had promised to protect their daughters, to always put them first. But was he feeling them now? His thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Remy. "Hey, you've been quiet all evening," she said, stepping in. "Is something wrong?" Michael leaned back in his chair. "The girls told me about what happened in the kitchen." Remy sighed and crossed her arms. "Michael, I love you and I care about them. But they need to understand that things have changed. I can't keep playing second fiddle to them." Michael frowned. "They are my daughters, Remy. They come first. Always." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "I get that. But where does that leave me? I'm trying here. I'm trying to build something with you. And they act like I'm an outsider." Michael rubbed his temples. "They are just kids, adjusting to a new reality. Give them time." Remy exhaled sharply, clearly frustrated. "Fine, Michael, I'll try. But you need to set boundaries," she said and walked out on him. Over the next few days, Remy's attitude towards the girls became even more strained. The smiles she used to give them were forced, her patience thinning. Dara and Tenny, once excited about having someone around them, found themselves walking on eggshells in their own home. One afternoon, while Makia was at work, Remy sat in the living room, scrolling through her phone as Tenny walked past. "And where do you think you're going?" Remy asked without looking up. Tenny hesitated. "To my room." Remy scoffed. "So you just walked past me without greeting? Is that how your father raised you?" Tenny's cheeks burned. I didn't mean to be rude." Remy rolled her eyes at her. "Of course you didn't." Dara, who had been listening from the hallway, stepped forward. "Tenny always greets. Maybe you didn't hear her." Remy's eyes darkened. "So now you're speaking for her, Abi? Listen, both of you, I won't tolerate disrespect. This is my house too, and you will behave accordingly." Tenny swallowed her anger and nodded. But as she and Dara walked away, she whispered, "She's getting worse." Dara nodded. "Daddy needs to see it soon, or it will be too late." That evening, Michael returned home to find Remy in the kitchen stirring a pot of soup. "Smells good," he said, pecking her cheek. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Long day?" He nodded. "Yeah." "And you?" She sighed dramatically. "Honestly, your daughters are giving me a hard time, Michael. They don't respect me. They ignore me. They act like I don't belong here." Michael frowned. "That doesn't sound like them." Remy gave him a wounded look. "Are you saying I'm lying?" No, that's not what I mean now." He exhaled. "Look, I'll talk to them, okay?" Remy's expression softened, and she placed a hand on his chest. "I just want us to be a family, Michael." He kissed her forehead. "I know." They shared a kiss. But later that night, when he spoke to the girls, they were indignant. "She's lying, Daddy, she's lying." Dara insisted. "She's the one treating us badly." Michael sighed. "Girls, I know this is hard, but Remy is trying. Please be patient with her, okay?" Tenny folded her arms. "Daddy, you always say that, but when will you start believing us?" Michael didn't even have an answer. He only hoped he wasn't making a terrible mistake. Days turned into weeks, and the tension in their house grew thicker. Remy's interactions with the girls became colder, and Michael, despite his best efforts, remained oblivious. He was blinded by his desire for companionship, believing that with time, the girls would adjust. One Saturday afternoon, as Michael walked in his study, he heard raised voices from the living room. He rushed out to find Remy glaring at Tenny and Dara, her face twisted in anger. "You two are ungrateful," Remy spat. "I've tried to be nice, but no, you refuse to accept me. Do you think I enjoy living in a house where I'm treated like an intruder?" Tenny stood her ground. "We've done nothing to you. It's you who treats us badly." Remy scoffed. "Because you are. Your father and I can never have a proper relationship with you two constantly clinging to him." Michael's heart pounded. "Remy, that's enough." She turned to him, her expression softening. "Michael, you need to let them know that they can't keep acting like spoiled children. They need to understand that you have a life outside of them." Michael's face darkened. "They are my life, Remy, and I will not have you speak to them that way." Remy's lips trembled, but she quickly composed herself. "Fine, if that's how you feel, then maybe I don't belong here after all." She stormed upstairs, leaving Michael standing in silence, his daughters looking at him expectantly. For the first time, doubt seeped into his mind. Had he been wrong about Remy all this time? That night, Michael lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His conversations with the girls replayed in his mind. Their words had filled him with pain, and for the first time, he saw past his own loneliness into their suffering. The next morning, he decided to address the issue head on. He found Remy in the kitchen making herself a cup of tea. "We need to talk," he said firmly. Remy glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "About what?" "About last night. About how you treat my daughters." She sighed and set her cup down. "Michael, I just want to be happy with you, but they make it so difficult." Michael shook his head. "No, Remy, you are the one making it difficult. These girls lost their mother for Christ's sake. And instead of trying to be a positive presence in their lives, you've treated them like competition." Remy's eyes widened. "So you are choosing them over me?" Michael's jaws tightened. "If you see it as a choice, then you never belong here to begin with." A long silence followed. Then, with a deep sigh, Remy muttered, "I see how it is." She turned onto her heel and walked away. Michael knew in that moment that the end was near. Michael spent the next few days in deep thought, observing everything with new clarity. The way Remy barely spoke to his daughters unless she had something to complain about. How the warmth she had once showed was now reserved for only him. The realization weighed on him, but he needed solid proof before making any drastic decision. One evening, he decided to stay late at work, but in truth, he parked his car a few houses down and walked back home. He entered quietly through the back of the door, moving carefully to avoid being noticed. The sound of raised voices from the living room sent his pulse racing. "I have had enough of your nonsense." Remy's voice was sharp with irritation. "You think just because your father adores you, you can treat me anyhow? You are nothing but spoiled little brats." Dara's voice trembled. We haven't done anything to you, Remy. We just want peace in our home." "Peace? You call your constant whining peace? Always complaining to your father about me? Do you think he will choose you over me? One day, he will see that I'm more important than the both of you combined." Michael's breath caught in his throat. He has had enough. "Remy!" His voice boomed across the room, making everyone freeze. The sheer shock on Remy's face told him she knew she had been caught. "How dare you speak to my daughters like this?" His hands clenched into a fist. His fury barely contained. Remy stammered, her confidence shattering. "Michael, I didn't mean it that way. Enough!" He took a step closer, his eyes burning with disappointment. "Pack your things and get out of my house right now." Dara and Temi stood frozen, watching as their father finally saw the truth. Their hearts pounded. Relief was washing over them as they realized they were no longer alone in their fights. Remy left that night, her face pale and full of shame. Michael watched as she dragged her suitcase down the driveway, refusing to acknowledge her final, desperate pleas for another chance. The gate slammed shut behind her, and for the first time in months, the house felt lighter. Tenny and Dara sat on the couch, still processing everything. Michael walked over, kneeling before them. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice heavy with emotions. "I should have listened to you two from the start." Dara wiped a straight tear. "We just wanted you to see who she was, Daddy. We were scared you wouldn't." Michael pulled the both of them into a tight embrace. "I promise, from now on, I will always listen. You two are my world, and I will never let anyone come in between us ever again." That night, for the first time since their mother's passing, the house felt like home again. The three of them sat together, reminiscing about old memories and making plans for the future. Though they had endured the storm, they emerged stronger, knowing that their bond was unbreakable. The days that followed Remy's departure were quiet, but filled with a new sense of peace. Michael made it a priority to rebuild the bond with his daughters, making up for all the moments he had overlooked their pain. He started coming home from work early, helping Tenny with her assignments, and listening to Dara's endless chatter about university applications. One evening, as they sat on the veranda watching the sunset, Michael cleared his throat. I know things have been tough, but I want us to focus on healing now. I don't want you both to feel like you have to fight for my attention ever again. Tammy smiled softly. We know, Daddy, and we love you. Dara leaned against him. I just wish Mom was here. She would know what exactly to say. Michael nodded, his throat tightening. She would, but I know she would be proud of us for sticking together. Michael made a conscious effort to improve his relationship with his daughters. They started going out for family dinners, visiting their mother's grave sites together, and even planning a small vacation to clear their minds. The house, once tense with unspoken words, became filled with laughter again. We are going to be okay, he told his daughters one night as they sat watching a movie together. And for the first time in a long time, they truly believed it. The journey had been so long, and the scars remained, but they were healing together, and that was all that mattered. Moral of the story: let's learn to heal first from whatever trauma we've been through. That way, we won't transfer pain to other people around us. Share what you've learned with me in the comment section. Please subscribe, like, and share the story. Till I bring another interesting African story your way, God bless you.